Hi folks, music therapy. Welcome to another episode of music as a form of therapy for your depression or whatever. I've talked about it before. It's one of the many tools in your arsenal when it comes to how you can naturally deal with depression and anxiety and whatever. So music therapy, we've talked about that. Art therapy, forest therapy. But before that, let me welcome you real quick to my humble off-grid homestead in the forest on this early January day. I wanted to say snowy. It's not snowing, but it's one of those days that's, off and on kind of gray, and I'll do a little pan if I remember. I always do that, and I don't often remember to do it. Pan around so you can see the garden where I have. We have our 33 organic raised beds that there are many videos on that where I'm working in there, and of course I didn't have this camera early on in the season when the garden was at its heyday, and full bloom. But I will this year now that I have this camera. But today I wanted to, let's go back to the music therapy. I have something like 12 instruments, few guitars, acoustic, I think mostly, 3 ukuleles, two the same size, one a little bit bigger. I can't remember the name of it. Alto, is that what it's called? Is that a saxophone? A keyboard, full-size keyboard, weighted keys. There is a decent viola, little baby-size xylophone, one of my favorites. A mishmash of a drum set, a recorder or 4. Some other sort of drums. And anyway, these are all, if I'm ever able to start my own community that you may or may not have heard in any of my videos that I talk about, if I'm ever able to start that, all of these instruments, like with most things, are to share. I mean, you can't, I can't take them with me, and you can't take the forest with you. It's just as a part of the land share. You can't take your musical instruments with you. They say you can't take your money with you. I don't have any, but for those who have it, you can't take it with you. Although a lot of people do try to take their money with them. Anyway, your possessions, your worldly possessions. So anyway, today I wanted to show you and tell you a little bit about an instrument that sort of goes back to my, can I say ancient ancestors? I don't know. This one, when I was researching it, I found evidence of it in stone carvings, wall carvings in Babylon, 1600 BC. There were 2, I guess we can call them musicians. I don't know if at that time people were called musicians, but let's call them musicians, why not? And they had them hanging from their shoulders, and with the one that I have here, it came with the case, and I think a means to suspend them from your shoulders, just like those depictions that I saw from 1600 BC, so 3,600 years ago. And I guess they were suspended by either hemp ropes or sinew, leather, I don't know. This one I just have on the, they're not heavy, but they're not light. Maybe I should turn the camera around so you can actually see it rather than my face, which is nothing exciting to look at. But before I do it, let me just, I promise you to show you outside, and before I forget, those are the garden beds that you see in my summer videos now resting. And the rest of the forest, and you can't see here from this camera, I don't think can show you, but if you could, let me see if I can get my finger in the point to it. There's somewhere there, right where the tip of my finger is, there's a ridge. We're in a sort of a bowl, and we're surrounded by a ridge that's about 1,000 to 2,000 feet above us, and we weren't able to see that ridge for years. Now that some trees are coming down by wind or whatever, they're more visible now. And that's just a chicken coop, and let me see if you can see compost bins also resting. Just so peaceful right now, everything's resting. So let's get back to our feature today, and you have to forgive me, I don't have a good ear. Wish I could have my daughter come and play something with for you. She has a good ear, and she can play really anything. Just picks it up. I'm sure some of you are exactly like that, but some of you musicians, please forgive me. I'm for butchering this instrument right in front of your eyes. But I'm trying, and I'm, who knows, maybe one day I'll be able to, I'll learn how to play it. So this is what it looks like, and it is called a dulcimer. Of course, some of you already know, I don't need to tell you, but dulcimer, examples of it is, if you have ever listened to any sort of a music from the Renaissance times, this was pretty central to that. This and those special kind of flutes or wind instruments. And this, in my opinion, this comes somewhere between the sound-wise, between a piano and a guitar. So whereas it's louder than a guitar, as in it resonates more. But it's quieter than a piano would be, obviously. But it's basically the same, more or less the same concept. And but in that region that I was telling you about, Babylon, Persia, and also Russians have that. They used it obviously a little bit earlier than 500 years ago. Like I was saying, the earliest examples are 1600 BC, and in the Persian, when I was doing some research, the Persian orchestras, these were so central and at the core that I would say that there was I saw one or two of these, and the rest of the orchestras around them. And so I guess they resonate so much, just like when a regular orchestra here, you would have, I don't know, maybe 10, 20 violinists and maybe 5 or so viola, and then the flutes and all that, and it's one piano, or sometimes 2. And sometimes there were some examples I saw that they had 2 of these dulcimers. Now, and the Persians called it different. Persians and Indians had a different name for it. It was called Santur. And even though the Indian pronunciation was the same as the Persian pronunciation, Santur, the spelling is different. These are some of the things that I managed to find on it. Now, these new in Canadian funds is something less than under $500 Canadian, but this is sort of a laminated, nicely made. There's not crooked or cut wrong, or isn't flawless for what it is, for a new instrument. But if you, for those of you who have seen or know or whatever, these instruments originally were made out of walnut, which I think these two strips are on top here, and maybe the two down here. So it would have been, it's a darker and a grain, darker wood, and the graining is different. But here's something really interesting that I found in my research, and that was that before the instrument maker would make this, they would cut down this walnut tree and let it season, and as in let it dry and weather or whatever for 30 years before they would attempt to make the instrument. I'll let you digest that a little bit. 30 years, it would take them, they would wait 30 years for the wood to season, not doing anything to it. By seasoning, I mean just like firewood, when you start with seasoning, just let it rest. So unbelievable that one instrument maker working on this pile of wood may not have even possibly been around when that tree was cut down. Never mind when that tree was alive and growing, but may not even be been alive. So it's really fascinating how some cultures and some music makers take their material so seriously, and respect, really all the respect to them. So you call this whatever you want. I call it music therapy. Now, they come with these super light. It's almost, if you ever made a model airplane, the kind of wood that is very, very flexible, very thin, nicely laminated. Oh, those big ones, they're not big ones, they're just probably the same size, the ones that with the 30-year wood, walnut wood, have inlays in them. Inlays could be bone or ivory, I'm not sure. But anyway, very thin, and then they have a very thin layer of, in this case, rubber. And more intricate ones are, really, can you see, really more intricately carved, and even here. So I'm guessing these ones cost more. These came with it. I didn't have to purchase these separately, but I mean, I'm amazed at how light this is. On even a slightly breezy day, if I were to throw this up in the air, it's like a weight of a leaf. It will probably never land. It'll just keep going. And so I'm grateful that two sets came with it. I bought this used, I suppose, for someone that didn't have the space for it or whatever. And again, this is to be used. I mean, I don't have an ear for, you'll notice that in a minute. I don't have an ear for music, and I'm not musically inclined. But I love hearing anyone that can play any musical instrument. So to guests, or if, like I said, if I'm never able to start my own community, everything is to share. Everything is for everyone who's respectful. But anyway, let me attempt to play make some noise for you. And again, sincere apologies for what you're about to perhaps hear. But just remember that I'm just trying to show you that by playing with this for however number of minutes, not even have to be hours, you're removing your brain, your mind from whatever dark thoughts that you might have, and it just takes you away from there and brings you ADHD, whatever. Just makes you focus on this moment, at this particular thing, just now, right now. You can't be distracted, anything. So without further ado, I'll just do a little demonstration. And I'm not saying go out and buy this, but just buy anything. You can buy a recorder for $1 from a dollar store or something, and you can learn that. But the point is music therapy. All right? Okay. Well, folks, I did better than I thought. Silly old man. Anyway, go outside today, or preferably go to a music store as opposed to Amazon, and buy yourself a recorder. You know, first thing I think they teach you in grade 2, maybe, you know, just cover the holes and play whatever, and you'll be amazed that my voice is resonating through this thing. You'll be amazed at how much you can pick up and how much fun it can be, but it's something that perhaps you should practice at, or something that you could do on any particular day that you're feeling particularly depressed, or like I said, this time of year, lack of sunshine. And by the way, on a happy, good, positive note to leave you, is that today is the 4th of January, and I think in the past 10 days, if my calculation is right, we you know how we gain 5, I think I heard we gain 5 minutes of daylight every day since the winter solstice, and so I think we've gained 50 minutes of daylight so far. And I could feel it today when I was up here at about 6:45 doing one of my morning exercises. Looking out that window, it was brighter. I noticed that it would be brighter, whereas before, maybe it was still gradual, but it was definitely brighter. Even though it wasn't a clear sky, I felt the brightness. So 50 minutes, it doesn't mean that the sun sets 50 minutes later, because it's like from both ends. So 50 divided by 2, so you have 45 minutes of earlier daylight, sunrise, and 45 minutes of later sunset. I'll take it. I'm a morning person, and I love daylight, and so hang in there and do some music therapy. And if you really can't afford to even get that recorder, which I hope you can, and if you were here, I would let you use one of mine. But then just watch these videos, or someone else's, someone that knows what they're doing. Anyway, so yeah, surround yourself with positive people, laugh as much as you can, and don't let the negativity in as much as you can. I mean, right now, internet, you can go anywhere. You can come watch the silly old me. This channel is not monetized, so I'm not getting paid by you watching any videos. All right, namaste.